Welcome back to another episode of the Bear Trap on the Boomer Bust channel, a Bears podcast by a Bears fan. I'm your host, Terry, and today doing a recap of our Sunday night matchup against the Minnesota Vikings. So I'm going to learn from last week, and I'm going to be positive this week. Well, not really. I'm going to continue to do what I do. So, we won the game, close margin by by 5, but still, it seemed a little familiar, right? Seemed kind of like last week, but I still would say a good divisional win. We beat the Vikings. That's big. I think even if we split with Detroit after next week, we'll see. But even still, we're in a really good spot in the division to take the number one spot going into the playoffs. So that is exciting, and we came out and really flexed our muscles against the Vikings. So, despite what people try to say, I enjoy these wins. Now, what was this game? This game was, the Bears coming out really hot, similar to last week, like I said, coming out pretty hot, really putting the, team off balance as far as, our tempo on offense. And as far as our aggressiveness on defense, but then in the second half, kind of pulling up a little bit and allowing the team to creep back into the game, although we still did and ended up winning. So there's that. But overall, some of the things I kind of noticed is that Matt Nagy, and I've said this plenty of times before the season even started, or as it started, I should say, is that there's going to be a lot of misdirection, a lot of motion and all that. And I always keep saying that cute stuff, that misdirection, that window dressing, it won't win you games. It'll get you some plays. It'll get you some points. It'll get you some momentum, but it won't win you games. And that is what we've been seeing the last few weeks, where they come out on offense and it really is kind of miscombobulating to these defenses, but then eventually they catch on and they lock in. Individual players and then as a team, they kind of lock in. The misdirection itself doesn't beat a defense. Doesn't mean we can't beat the defense. We can beat them individual matchups with technique and skill, but the misdirection and all the fun stuff doesn't confuse them as much in the second half as much as it does in the first. And so, as I said always, in the red zone and early in the game, those are the two times you want to get cute, because that's when it won't hurt you as much. But as the game goes on and it's crunch time, as we've seen, you got to be able to execute. So again, just talking about kind of what our team looks like defensively, I have to give more credit to the secondary than I have. Like, coming into this year, it was definitely a question mark for me, especially once we got Khalil Mack. I thought the biggest question mark would be the corners. And while they aren't elite, I think they're a lot better than I expected them to be. And they still have their faults. They are what they are. I'm not saying that they got more range and stuff than I thought. They definitely don't. As we saw, Fuller can get burnt, so can Prince, all that good stuff. But the fact is that when we play our type of ball, we're a lot more effective than I expected us to be. And so that helps when our pass rush isn't heating up. A lot of times we are giving quarterbacks problems because we're locking their routes up. And that goes to the emergence of Eddie Jackson at safety, the solidness of Adrian Amos and consistency, but also it goes to our corners. And so, this game just really highlights why it's important to stop the run. And you see it on both sides, because while we weren't smash mouth killing the Vikings with our run game, the fact that early on it worked in the mix with our offense, it allowed us to play action and, catch the defense sleeping, which is what mostly our game was. It was a couple draw plays, a lot of screens, a lot of play action. And so a lot of it like I said last week, is to take advantage of the heavy flow of the defense. The defense is very aggressive in Minnesota. They like to come downhill. You want to show them one thing and come back the other way. Again, fell off in the second half as they figured it out, but early on, that's what really hurt them because we have play action and come back around and make a play. That should have been exactly the same thing against our defense. The only difference is that we shut the run down early and the offense put some points up. So once you start shutting the run down early, they can't go to the play action because nobody would be faked out by it. It would just be wasting time. And then eventually you start playing behind, and that's when you have to go straight out passing, become one-dimensional, and that's when it plays to the advantage of the defense. That's why you hear a lot of, and people passing league and all this, it will always be important to make a team one-dimensional. Whether it's the pass or the run, it will always be important to make a team one-dimensional. And you saw why. Even as they creep back, the fact that we won because we were up early is because we were able to shut that stuff down early on in the game. And again, our run defense is pretty solid. I rarely have issues with them. They kind of hit us up the gut a little bit early, and honestly, they probably should have stayed doing that because it was working. And I always talk about getting up on our linebackers and blocking them, but they kind of abandoned that. And when you go lateral or you try to do any of that stuff, our defensive front stays pretty solid. And so I'm not worried when teams do that. And so you become one dimensional, and that's what happens. So, still, very good game overall. Cody Parkey. And I already said last week, I wasn't asking to cut him. So I'm fine that he was back, and I'm glad to see they made the kicks. That's what it's all about. Bears winning. And so going to the defense, more specifically, it's really what we've been seeing all year, at least what I've been seeing all year. I know people go back and forth with me, but that's fine. I see the same thing pretty much. And Khalil Mack is getting better. He's getting stronger and healthier. So yeah, he's a one-man wrecking crew. He is so ridiculous. The fact that he was able to cause that fumble while being pushed to the ground by a block was just crazy, but he's a one-man wrecking crew. Outside of that, yeah, Keem Hicks is another dude. He's a one-man run stopping wrecking crew. And he's got some, I think the offensive line was a lot more softer than I expected. I knew they weren't great, but I thought they were solid enough. But they had some bust in terms of assignments, and they also just couldn't handle a lot of our power. So that was interesting to see, but Akeem Hicks really ate up a few times in pass rush because of that. And so definitely give credit to him. But like I said, outside of Khalil Mack, not a whole bunch. But, again, when you become one dimensional, that's what happens. And our corners did a really good job. I mean, the thing is, as much as I say they keep things in front of them, they can play intermediate passes pretty well. The stuff that gets you is like you saw the double move by Diggs, and like when you spread stuff out and really put them in space, that's when trouble happens. And the Vikings just didn't do a lot of that. For whatever reason, they didn't. And then the play action is usually what gives you the time to have those double moves and longer routes. But since no run game, they didn't have the play action to do that. So our corners, I gotta give it to them. Fuller and Prince, they've been a lot better than I expected. Then of course Eddie Jackson, I've been singing his praises the last few weeks, pretty much all season. He's maturing. He's doing exactly what I love. You could tell though, like Kyle Fuller and somebody else, they were ready to make the interception too. Like whatever the formation or maybe the motion or whatever it was, they knew what was coming. Cause like half the secondary was pointing at it and waiting to get the interception. So that's good film study and making a play on it and then taking it into the house. So big props to Eddie Jackson there. So defense definitely played pretty solid. Again, as the game wore on, they kind of worked us a little more, but the Vikings they're underneath type players. And then once a team gets off kilter, they can play action and get some big on them. And that's how Thielen and Diggs, they kill these teams. But once you put it all in front of you and you make them one-dimensional, they can't play action. And so all they can do is go underneath. And for the most part, the Bears were happy to let them do that. And, there's some bigger plays down the line, but, they were kind of eating their own clock. And so the thing is, you're not going to beat the Bears that way. Now, the Saints and people like that, that's a different story. But anyway, for this game, I give an A- to the defense. Offense started out hot, like I said. We were in the same formation for most of it. And then we kind of did an up-tempo thing that kind of got them off their spot. Then go into the end zone, but eventually we got into the end zone, and A-Bomb doing his thing, Taylor doing his thing. Trubisky, man. People want to get mad at me. And that's the thing. As I've said before, I don't know if you understand it or not. It's not about the game. Like, we're not about to sit here and say, okay, this game was a good game, so we're just going to act like, okay, it's good. Oh, this game was a bad game, so we're going to act like he's bad. No, that's not how it goes. We talk about the skill set. We talk about what you actually accomplished and how you accomplished it. And so those things are going to permeate throughout the rest of the season. And so that's when I was talking about decision making last week. And then we get to this week. And again, 25-20 could have been better. And I get it. Some people, a win is a win. That's what they're going to say. That's fine. I understand that. I congratulate the win. It is not about tonight. It is about the future. If you don't have the ability to see the big picture, I don't know what to tell you as a fan. You have to be able to look at what things will carry into the moments that matter. And those are the things we have to focus on. And I'm telling you that at the current level Trubisky is playing and making decisions, if we get into the big moments, it's going to be bad. Unless the defense carries him or the playmakers carry him, we cannot rely on Trubisky in the big moments. His decision making, his capacity is not set up for him to be that type of quarterback. That doesn't mean I don't like him. That doesn't mean I don't want him on the team. I wish him success. I hope he does what his part is for us to win. What I'm telling you is his part as our quarterback is not the same part as Aaron Rodgers, not the same part as Tom Brady, Carson Wentz, Jared Goff, any of those people. He has to play a different role. Alex Smith has been the name people use a lot. That's the type of role he's going to have to play. He's going to have to be the facilitator because he is not the guy to put the game on his back right now. And I honestly, personally don't think he has capacity to become that quarterback. And that's fine, but our team has to be structured around him in that way. And I think it is right now. That's why we can win games. But when you get to elite competition, those are the things I look at. And so I'm not tearing him down for this game. That's not what this is about. It's just looking towards the future and seeing patterns week after week. And he just has to get better at it. I mean, he likes to run. He's getting even more and more confident and effective at running the ball. He can keep plays alive. But if it's not his first read, if it's not a prescribed play, it's a little tougher for him. And so it's just the decision making. That's really what it is. But I like that we mixed it up in the run game. Again, Jordan Howard, pretty effective. Tariq Cohen, not him as a problem, but going lateral. This is a defense that's fast. That wasn't going to work on them. And so, whatever. But as an offense, I think the best thing that we have going for us last week, this week, every week is that we don't have a main guy. And I was talking to somebody about the Bears this week, and I was saying, I think we have one of the better receiving corps in the league. I didn't say the best, but one of the better ones. And he was like, I don't think so. And I'm like, okay, well, what receiving corps do you think? And they're naming some. And I'm like, okay, you named one or two guys because you're thinking of star power. no, we don't have star power, but personally as a coach, it's better to have a well-rounded core than star power. Cause star power, yeah, they can make elite plays, but also people can hone in on them. And I think one of the good things about us is you don't know who the ball's going to. Like, if you just line it up fantasy-wise, because people like fantasy numbers, not one receiver, between Anthony Miller, between Taylor Gabriel, between Allen Robinson, Trey Burton, not one of them is going to be consistently the lead dog. And now Adam Shaheen came back. That was beautiful to see him get that red zone, big body 2-point conversion. That's what we wanted him to become. It was nice to see him back. He's back. You don't know who's going to be the guy, especially with Trubisky. Trubisky isn't falling in love with somebody. He's going to where Nagy wants him to go. And so I think that helps us, though, because then you can't really hone in on something. And we seen early in the year when people start honing in on Tariq Cohen, other people start making big plays. So I think that's a big positive for us. But for tonight, as far as our performance, I give us a B-. So on offense. So there you go. Special teams was good. Parkey made his kicks. We got the onside kick. All good to go. It was a good win for us to take that next step. And honestly, you know what? One of the reasons I harp on it a lot is because I think we could take that step this year. I'm not saying we're going to win a Super Bowl, but I don't think the NFC is, locked down. I don't think the AFC is locked down. I think it's a real open field right now. And I think with our style of play, it lends us to play some good playoff football. And I just would like to see us, at this point, we're on track to make the playoffs. I would like to see us win 1 or 2 games. And so I have to harp on these things because that's the stuff I want to see us improve, or the things I'm going to watch for, because once we get those down, that's when we're going to be a team to really reckon with. And so it's exciting. It's an exciting time, and you don't get it often. We've seen how long it's been since we had something. Some teams wait even longer, so you don't get it often. I just want to see us take advantage. So we're all Bears fans. We're fans in different ways. I respect, love our Bears, love our fans. Even if we don't agree, it's just all about the Bears winning. Can we agree on that? That's all I'd ask. So anyway, go down in the comment section. Let me know what you thought about this game. Thumbs up, subscribe, share it around, get the convo started. And remember, stay up and bear down.